Hey everybody, this is Erica, and you're listening to the Tales Untold podcast, a show that knows no bounds for the paranormal and unexplained. It's made for the people who love when things go bump in the night. Hello, and welcome back to episode 3
of Tales Untold. And as you can see, we have released the first Death Row Mukbang video. I think we're going to be releasing one of those on the 6th of every month, so stay tuned for June 6th for the second episode of the Death Row Mukbang. It was actually pretty fun doing the first one on John Wayne Gacy. He had a really good last meal.
He did, but he had a really, really long track record that I feel like we really didn't do very good justice.
I feel like
to all of those people.
Yeah. Like there was so many signs, and I feel like he was the perfect example of like the phrase like there were signs. Like,
yeah.
Throughout his entire life there was just signs after signs, and
nobody saw them.
Yeah. Until it was too late. Way too late. The KFC was good though. But this episode is not about John Wayne Gacy. It is about the Quabbin Reservoir.
This one is also close to home for us.
Yeah, we actually visited this.
Yes, I've been to Quabbin several times. And I think
I've been 2 or 3 times.
I've definitely been more than that. But it's a great place to go and go hiking and walk around. It's very scenic.
It's very peaceful.
Absolutely.
Especially on a nice day. Not like a too hot day, not too cold. I don't know who's going there in the cold, but
avid hikers. There are several gates. I have not been to all of them. I couldn't even tell you where they all are. But it's very interesting how the Quabbin Reservoir was created. So in the early 20th century, early 1900s, right around World War I, they were noticing that Boston and the surrounding areas did not have enough water. So they're like, all right, what are we going to do about this?
Flood towns.
You know, it's really strange to me why they needed to put it there. Like, are you serious? There's nowhere uninhabited that we could have put this?
Why are you flooding four entire towns?
Mm-hmm. So they created the Metropolitan District Water Supply Commission in 1929, and they were around until 1946. So this commission was only around for the inception and building of the actual Quabbin Reservoir. So the construction actually began in 1936, and when they were proposing to build Quabbin, Connecticut actually sued Massachusetts.
How do you sue a state?
Well, one state was suing another because Connecticut believed they were stealing water that would have otherwise made its way to Connecticut by making Quabbin. Actually,
that was a dumb question. Suits or states sue each other.
They can sue people too.
Yeah. That was a dumb question. But so Connecticut thought the water that they're using would make it to Connecticut?
Yep, the Swift River.
Oh.
Makes it down to Connecticut, and they flooded the area of Quabbin with using the Swift River. And
I've actually swam in the Swift River.
It is
very
cold.
Yeah.
It is beautifully clear.
Yeah,
however.
I like that. And like at the Crutch, which is where the Ware River and the Swift River meet, I don't like the Ware River at all.
No.
It's so dark and murky, and I can't see the bottom. But the Swift, the only downside is it's cold.
It's absolutely freezing, but I'm sure that's part of why it's so clean and clear.
Because of how cold.
Right. Certain things can't live there.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful place to go also. So Connecticut believed, I had to include this fact because it was funny. I had a good chuckle.
That's crazy that they sued because they thought...
Well, they tried to. They didn't succeed.
Oh, they didn't?
Nope, they did not succeed. They wanted to, they tried to, but they did negotiate. Massachusetts did say, we're not going to drain the Swift River. We're not taking all of it. So they have to make sure that there's X amount of gallons. I forget the number. It was like 92,000 or something. I don't know. A day.
Wow.
In order to maintain. Yeah, it's a lot of water.
Quabbin is filled with a lot of water, too.
It is. I did not write it down.
I think that's an insane amount of water.
It absolutely is.
I do want a drought to happen so I can see the top of a town. Or I don't know where you can see it or what it is, but I know you can see part of...
I wonder if it's near the Dana Common. I feel like Dana is the most...
visited?
Seeable one, because the Dana Common is still there. Like, you can visit that. There's actual tours that take you through there.
Oh, really?
I think that was that, like, 4-mile walk I was telling you about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like, I think that's to and from, though. Like,
oh,
so
like
it's
2 miles there, 2 miles
something
back.
like that.
So it's not 8 miles.
Right. But like there's actual tours that Quabbin does. And I was thinking we could probably do one time, but it's getting into summer and I feel like that's going to be a really terrible time.
I would not want to do that. Climbing up that huge hill was enough.
And this yard, goodness, this season is starting off very hot.
Yeah.
And
we've had some
muggy.
Very hot days so far.
And then some very, very rainy days. So
yeah, weather's all over the place.
This year might not be the year. But disincorporation, which I did not know was a word.
What does that even mean?
Fact. So the opposite of incorporation.
What does that mean?
Instead of incorporating a town, they're disincorporating a town. They're removing the towns. Happened in April 1938. From what I could find, Dana was the only one that voted to voluntarily give up their land.
So then why did the other 3 towns get flooded?
That's where it gets really crappy. Something called eminent domain and land acquisition.
Well, what does that mean?
That is where the state says, sorry, we need your land. Here, take some money. It's now mine. Thanks. Have a good day.
That's not how that works.
That's exactly how that worked. The Metropolitan District Water Supply Commission was given eminent domain, and they were able to just say, sorry, here's your monetary compensation.
That shouldn't be how it works. Like, if they asked to buy everybody's house, that's different.
I'm sure they did initially because, like I said, Dana voted to voluntarily give it up.
Yeah.
But the other towns probably didn't.
I wonder why.
So there's Dana, Enfield, Greenwich, and Prescott.
Hey, you get evicted and you get money, and we flood your home.
And we're going to exhume all of your family members from every cemetery that you have. And we're going to put them somewhere else where we feel they'll be better off.
That, like, I feel like that's wrong in itself. Like, I mean, obviously don't flood a cemetery, but, like, moving someone what's supposed to be their final resting place.
Like, imagine this happened now. Like, imagine
it wouldn't.
I don't think it would.
Like, I feel like people would freak.
They would. And there's a really strong ability now to bring people together. You know, Facebook. Yeah.
People would protest and sign petitions.
Yes. I feel like it wouldn't happen. But I wonder if for some people, this was like a way out of a bad situation. You know, like there had to have been those people that like their house was falling apart anyway. And like...
they were probably happy to take the money.
That's what I'm saying. Like there had to have been those at least few families that were like, dude, I'm out. Like, I got some extra money for my land. Like, me and my kids are going to go start a better life somewhere else. You know, I'm sure that there were families like that.
I mean, out of 4 towns, there's got to be quite a few.
Mm-hmm. So, during the building of Quabbin, do you know how many people died?
I'm just going to say a random number. 32?
You're close.
How much? 36?
26.
Oh, 26?
You were very close. You're only 6 off. It didn't really specify how they died, but most of them were in the tunnel that was being built.
Tunnel?
I don't know. I'm sure it's water related.
Oh,
A water tunnel
that makes sense. I was gonna say I don't
no.
recall. I mean, I know it's huge, and we only went to a little part.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely not been to all of it. I do have a personal experience to share. I'm very excited because I know we were hunting for them.
Yeah, I remember when we went experience hunting for like a few days in a row, and Quabbin, we went there for an experience. Was it when I was with you or
No, I was there with my kids, and we were at Good Enough Dike. And so we had just like parked the car. We had walked maybe 45 seconds. Maybe. And I'm holding my kids' hands, both of them, so I have one hand in each of them. And you know how the bass of music, you can kind of like feel it pump in your chest, or like fireworks, you know how you can feel that boom? That sound, like you can feel that sound. Or like,
I feel like I can hear like the bass through like ears in my head more. Yeah. But I kind of know what you mean.
But you know what I mean? Like that booming in your chest where like there's that loud noise.
And it kind of like...
And you can feel it. You don't just hear it, you feel it. Or like somebody's coming up behind you and their feet are slapping hard. Like they're running fast, but they're trying to slow down. Yeah. And like you can feel that something's coming at you. So you turn around. That happened.
And what was behind you?
Nothing.
Really?
There was nothing. There was not even other people. It was just the three of us.
There was no one in front of you? There
was no one.
Was it an animal?
No, there was nothing.
Like...
There was nothing. So like even the trees on either side of us, they were very tiny, like they weren't very old trees or anything, but they were all very, very close together. So if something that big had been running, and I feel like I've explained it poorly, but if something like that had been running near us, it wouldn't be able to, really. Not within the trees.
You would be able to see something.
Not even, like there wasn't enough room for an animal.
Oh, really? They were that close?
They were so close together. That an animal that would need to be of that size to make that sound would have to be going quickly. And it would need to be a good size.
Heavy, yeah.
And there was no space for it to do that. And there was no sound of branches crunching. There was no leaf rustling sounds. There was nothing like that.
That's interesting.
And what was even better is like I turned back, like kind of bracing myself, expecting someone or something to be there. Like it really felt like something was coming at us.
Finally had a paranormal experience.
Right? It's been so long. And it was even better because like I looked at my daughter and she's looking at me. Her eyes are so wide. She's like, "What was that?" And I was like, "You felt that too?" She was like, "Yeah." She was very confused. I was very confused because there wasn't even a car driving by. Like there was no one.
It's very odd.
It really was. And I tried to look up like any kind of ghost stories or anything, or like death that happened at Good Enough Dike, and I couldn't find anything. And I tried to look for, reasonable explanations, because they are doing a lot of logging and stuff in there. But it was a Saturday, for one, and there was big machinery parked, but it didn't happen again.
That's weird.
So if they were working and that was what that noise was, or that sensation that we had, wouldn't it have continued?
I feel like you would have heard and not felt.
Right. Like it literally, I have no other words other than it felt like someone was running at us, or something was running at us from behind.
That's scary.
It was.
Especially going into the woods.
Well, like it wasn't even really like woods. Like there was a paved path.
Oh. I didn't know it was paved.
Like you used to be able to drive through there. So the portion that we were still on was paved.
Were there any car accidents reported there?
Not that I could find. I couldn't find anything. Like ever since 9/11, you can't get into there, for terrorist threats. Like they don't want people driving in there with their vehicles and contaminating stuff and what have you.
Well, I guess you've debunked our very common phrase, you're gonna find something if you expect something.
Yep.
You weren't expecting anything, and something happened.
I know, it was so weird. I can still feel that feeling in my chest where like something was coming at me. It was crazy.
I've never had an experience like that, but I have had like an experience where I felt like the presence of something or someone else in the room. That's pretty much it. I've never had an experience like that though.
It's been a really long time for me that I've had any kind of weird experiences like that.
When was the last one?
That one that happened at Quabbin? That was a couple weeks ago.
Really?
But prior to that?
Yeah, what was the one prior to that? Was it the
It might have been
creature?
George. Oh no, it was the creature, you're right. I forgot about that. Yep.
That was a while ago.
That was a very long time ago. That was like 8 years ago. I kind of avoid going out into the world though. So I'm at the mercy of my house. And I don't think there's anything here, so.
When's the last time you've heard or seen of George?
Not since I left that house. In 2009.
Wow. See, the thing is, I mean, I don't know if it's George. I mean, my grandma says that it's George, but like, I get an uneasy feeling when I'm at her house sometimes, like going to sleep and stuff. And like, she said that pictures have just came off the wall, and she has a lot of pictures on the wall. But there was just this one time where I could not go to bed, and I was in the guest bedroom, and I was watching TV, and like the lights were on, and I thought everything was fine. And like, I ended up falling asleep in the most awkward like position because I was so scared to go to bed for some reason. And I don't think I've actually told anyone this besides my mom, but and my grandma. But I woke up in like such a weird like sweat. Like I was so hot and sweating, and I got up and I just unease. Like have I told you this? You look very confused.
No, I'm waiting to see where this goes because I've been to this room. I've slept in this room. I am aware of this house. So I'm very curious to where this goes. I'm aware of your feelings toward this house, but not the reason.
Anyways, actually, I should probably tell you, I'm sure you know, she has these 2 dolls that are in a crib. I don't like sleeping in the same room with those dolls. I had moved those to her office, and I'm just getting this sense of unease, and I get up, and I walk into the bathroom. I go to the bathroom, and I go back to the room, and like something just feels off, and like I said, I'm just sweating. I don't remember when this was. It could have been during winter or not. I mean, there was still the puff on the bed, so I'm not sure. I called my mom and told her that I wasn't feeling well, and she was like, go wake Graham up. And then I heard a noise like in the office, and so I'm starting to go investigate, but then I just get too scared, so I go into the bathroom and I'm still on the phone, and then she's like, all right, we'll just call out to Graham, or like call her on her phone. So I hang up with my mom and I call Graham like out loud and on the phone. She doesn't answer me, so I end up going back to the room and just kind of sitting on the bed for a little bit. And you know my uncle's like old ukulele? I had removed that off of the door before I went to bed because I didn't want to wake up and like, you know when you see like a vacuum?
Yeah, where you think it's someone standing there and it's not.
I didn't want that to happen because it was hanging up on the door. And like, for some reason, like I've just always had trouble sleeping in that room. Anyways, I moved the ukulele. I don't remember where I put it, but I was sitting on the bed and I heard something clatter, and then I heard the ukulele strings, and I just freaked out and ran to my grandma's room. Yeah, that was my experience.
So you don't even know what fell? You have no idea?
No. Because like, it wasn't the ukulele because it was on the ground. It might have been in the bathroom because the dolls were in the office. This was quite a bit ago. Kind of remembering this as I was telling. But I don't know what it was, and I didn't sleep over her house for a while. Like, I would go over there and, like, say I'm gonna sleep over, but then just leave. because like I was so scared. And like she always told me that there was like someone in the house, and she always said George. But what is your same feeling about this?
I never felt anything in that room. Like, that room does feel different. I guess not feeling anything, I guess kind of a lie. But it does feel a little different, but it doesn't feel bad.
It's uneasy is mostly, like, not necessarily bad, but just unease. Like you have to hold your guard up. I don't know, like, I always get freaked out in that room.
I don't know. I'm definitely emotionally devoid.
That was probably one of my worst experiences, and like it could have literally all just been in my head.
I will say that when I have slept in that room, I was exhausted, like beyond normal human capacity. So I probably slept through anything weird that may or may not have happened. Like, I was just too exhausted. But my daughter is also wary of her house too.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
That story probably sounds so made up.
No, but it's funny to me. Because I'm picturing you panicking.
Yeah, I was walking through that house, like, or at least at that end, I was freaked out. Like, I cannot even tell you, that was the sweatiest and like the most hot I had ever been, and I was just freaking out on top of it.
Did you have the door closed?
No, I don't see it with the door closed ever.
Because that room does get really hot.
It does.
So it probably was like winter-ish, and she keeps the house hot.
Yes.
So it was probably the heat that was making you that hot.
Yeah.
And having the blankets on you. That room does get hot. Or even cold in the air conditioning season.
It's either like whatever the season is, like say it's summer, it's going to be freezing.
Yes. Like the temperature down, which is weird because the unit is on the other side of the house. So it's like it pumps extra that way, and then it hopes it goes to the rest of the house. Like, I don't.
That room's always been very odd to me.
Yeah.
Like, she'd always get mad at me when I like slept on the floor or slept on the couch instead.
I don't understand that. What does it matter?
I don't know.
It's your preference. What does it matter?
Like, after that experience, I mostly slept on the couch after a while because I had to eventually go back and sleep over.
Well, now you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I have another little like personal experience kind of. Now we know where I live is almost an animal reserve. There are lots of
animals,
wildlife, and I've seen a bear, I've seen a moose, I have foxes, I have
there's turtles, there's
huge snapping turtles.
Thing that's under the shed.
He's a giant gopher. He's bigger than my cats.
Gopher, yeah.
He's huge. Well fed. I have snakes. Pretty much anything you can imagine is in my backyard.
That's in Massachusetts.
Oh, yes. Well, maybe Bigfoot's out there somewhere. Who knows? So I go out to my car one morning a couple weeks ago to start it because I noticed it was kind of chilly and I thought my windows would be frozen over.
Yeah.
Because they had been the day before. And so I get in my car and I go to turn it on and I see in the rearview mirror that there's like this paw print on the back of my window.
Paw? Like how big?
It's not a handprint. It was like the size of my hand or bigger.
Really?
It was big.
Was it a bear, do you think?
I'm guessing it was a bear. And it was just like peeking in my window like, oh, is there any food in here for me? Like,
if there was food, your car would have been.
Oh, I know, right? He would have just smashed right through the glass and be like, oh, this is mine now.
Or ripped open the door or something.
Right. Like, that would have been something to find.
That would have been very inconvenient.
I'd like to think that noise would wake me up, but I'm not convinced. I don't really think it would. I'm a very heavy sleeper.
I actually have another experience in that same bedroom. It's not nearly the same, but I don't know if this was a dream or like if I was awake and I thought something had happened or if it actually did. I'm not entirely sure. But I was rolled over trying to go to sleep and it felt like from the other side of the bed, like the way my back was facing, that a hand had just reached up and grabbed the blanket a little bit. Like I felt the weight of someone's hand or something's hand and like the blanket pull back a little bit. So I don't know if I was dreaming and then I woke up because that room is very weird with dreams and how I feel.
And that was at Graham's house also?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was very odd.
She has definitely told me that she feels a cat walking on her bed. And she doesn't have any animals.
No, not anymore.
She feels what feels like a cat walking. You know how like cats like jump up on your bed and
you can like feel them walking?
Yeah, the little paws. And she hasn't had a cat
in a long time since she moved
in a
to
very
here.
Yeah, in a very long time. So
that's odd.
Yes, she got herself a little protective kitty. So our episode was originally going to be about the Quabbin Reservoir.
Yeah.
Because somewhere in our travels we established that the cemeteries were very haunted, and when people's family members were exhumed, their remains weren't necessarily put where they should have been. Yeah,
that I was under that assumption, and I was also under the assumption that a lot of people died.
Right. I mean, other than the town having its own history beforehand, I did find a couple of stories of things that happened within the towns before they were removed and flooded and so on. Which makes sense because people lived there. Whatever. But I have an interesting theory. Because anytime we have both tried to research anything paranormal recently,
it's just not shown up.
It's not there.
Yeah.
So I have a specific theory.
What?
But first, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I have always been into the paranormal, the idea of witchcraft, and all of these things. Like,
I think the paranormal is very interesting.
Absolutely, I've always leaned towards it, especially with my experiences as a kid. Like
George.
Yes, and there's a few other things in there too. So, like, there's always been that paranormal element to my life.
Yeah.
But once we started this podcast, which I really love, by the way, so much fun, being able to express my theories, it kind of ties into another theory. Do you remember the episode we did on those scientists creating the black hole, and people think that the different dimensions were either created or came together?
Yeah.
What if that happened? And then it also kind of coincides with the Mandela effect.
And I feel like also kind of deja vu in a way.
Right. Well, deja vu is kind of future events, so that would entail a dimension.
I thought deja vu was you get the feeling that you've been there or done that.
I've had deja vus that I've dreamed. Like, of places I have never been 20 years before they happened.
Really?
It blows my mind.
I've had like small things that I've dreamed ahead of time, but I don't think any longer than like 3 days.
Nope. And then I don't remember them until they happen. And then I'm suddenly thrown back to my like 10-year-old self waking up going, what the hell was that dream about? And then now everything suddenly makes sense. And then by the time I remember, I can always change those last couple of seconds, and it makes me feel great. Where I can be like, I changed my future. But my theory is that what if those dimensions did collide, and now the paranormal does not exist? But we remember it does because we are part of the dimension where the paranormal existed. But now we have collided and we are living in a world where the paranormal no longer exists.
And that's why you can't find any folklore.
And that's why we can't find anything on the internet about even Quabbin, where they're saying that the bodies were respectfully exhumed and they made sure that they were all in the same places. I don't recall that being true.
Yeah, that is very odd because I've heard that for a long time.
So either it's people covering things up and the internet
being harder to find.
The internet information is being controlled.
Mm.
I'm sure AI is playing a hand in.
AI is getting scary now.
Absolutely, it's frightening.
It's getting too realistic.
There's no reason for it. We need to stop. Stop.
It's getting too real.
There's no point.
Yeah.
Like we need to still know how to use our brains. But that's beside the point. So what do you think of my theory?
I think it's very interesting, but then I also feel like it gets quickly debunked because you can look up like the Conjuring House and you can still read the full paranormal story.
Right, but you personally went there and you said if anything it feels peaceful. And then we also went to the Spidergate Cemetery. And
yeah,
granted, it was daytime, creeping into the nighttime, but it was an extremely peaceful experience for us. We spent 2 hours walking through those woods.
The scariest part was not knowing what that airport was.
Yeah, that was funny. Right.
It's actually interesting.
Like, we remember it was there. And it seems that there are many other people in the world that remember these things. There's remains. But what if the paranormal itself no longer exists?
I haven't experienced anything in a while.
Exactly.
I think we need to play with a Ouija board.
No, we don't. I'm not testing fate like that.
It's actually very interesting.
Granted, I do also say this after just giving a personal experience that happened a couple weeks ago. The weird feeling or whatever at Quabbin.
Mm.
But who knows? Maybe that was an animal in the woods. Maybe it was. Maybe there was something happening somewhere that I don't know anything about.
I'm trying to think of my last.
But it's been so long. And we've been to a couple of places that are supposedly haunted, but if anything, they're serene.
I think we need to go to Bridgewater Triangle.
Yes. Now that it's getting nice out.
That is a very interesting place.
Yes, I've heard a lot of things about that. But you know what? I don't even know what I'm going to say if it's peaceful. And just like a nice walk in the woods for us again.
I hope something scary. Like absolutely
we see the Yeti walk in front of us. Sasquatch. Have Bigfoot walk by.
Now that I think of it, I actually haven't seen any paranormal videos either. It's just been people like doing skits and scary videos.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
It's very weird to me. And I almost feel a disconnect somewhere. I can't
speak about that.
I've been holding on to this theory for like 2 months for this moment to tell you about it so that I can have your genuine reaction.
Well, like at first I was like, no, but then I was like, when I mentioned the Conjuring House and then you said what I had felt there, it was like, wait.
Yeah. It's definitely strange. And like we've been trying to go, not necessarily ghost hunting, but something to that effect. The only time I ever felt anything eerie was when I was walking through the woods in that spot where there's the homeless people living.
The ruins?
Yeah.
Mm.
And like that's what gave me the eerie thing, is that there's people under those tarps. Like there could be somebody in there. Like a somebody, not a something.
Yeah. That was freaky. Like, I've been there a couple times. And when I recently had to film scenes for Intrusion 2, me and like 4 of the people had to like sweep the place before we had filmed because we didn't want like some crazy person just coming at us.
Or somebody to think you were the crazy person because you're filming a murder scene.
Fake murder scene.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, who's the crazy one here?
Yeah. I think theories are very interesting, and I know we've done a lot of conspiracy theories, and I actually do like the paranormal theory. I'm gonna take that into
Paranormal
account.
absence.
Yeah,
That's what I'll call it.
I think for me to give my full opinion on the paranormal absence theory, I need to visit Bridgewater Triangle. I think we both should.
We should.
That seems like a very interesting place. But there's actually these other theories that I think would be good for an episode. Have you ever heard of the Uncanny Valley?
I have. I actually just was listening to a different podcast that mentioned it.
Really?
It was. That's really weird.
I think like there was like at least 3 or 4 theories surrounding why we as humans find the Uncanny Valley so creepy. And my favorite one is the predator theory, which we can discuss
next week.
Yes. So that'll be a fun episode.
We definitely need to find time for Bridgewater.
Yeah, I don't know when we're going to do that. Well, I guess that wraps up our Quabbin Reservoir, or now personal experience episode.
Hopefully it was enjoyable. I'm very happy to get the paranormal absence theory off my chest.
Yeah, you did not tell me that at all.
I did not. I was saving it for the longest time. So I think that'll do it for this week's Tales Untold.
Join us next week for the Uncanny Valley theories. I'm Wyatt.
I'm Erica.
Thanks for listening.
This is Tales Untold.